Welcome to my video tutorial on making health managers, keyframes, and camera sequences within Dreams for the PlayStation 4 system. As you can see, we are in my level of Estranged, or my game that I developed within the Dreams Bubble Bath engine. I will be showing you on what is up. So here we have the main elevator. So we're going to be using this elevator to make an animation where it goes up when the player solves the puzzle within the room. So in order to do this, we have to get our player in so we can test it out. And then I will be showing you guys on what we're about to make. And then I get hurt right there by an enemy. So this is the puzzle. I'm just going to enter the correct sequence in, which is red, blue, gold. And then the animation comes up. So that is what we want to be working on. And I will be teaching you how to do this in Dreams. And this can go for anything. This can go for elevators. This can go... this is basically teaching us how to make an action happen upon a trigger. So we are going to start by using a timeline, and we're going to make our timeline be on sustain with, you can have it be any color, the other options don't really matter. So within the timeline, I have the camera, I have the keyframe, and I have the health manager. And with the keyframe, I showed you right there, I recorded it, and as the, nothing happened because that keyframe is already in the elevator is already in the motion's keyframe, if that makes sense. So it's already in the same position. So with the camera, we do want to make sure that we have everything there. I'm just showing you a quick sequence of what it looks like. I will be redoing it from scratch to show you how I got the results I've made for myself in this game. And then basically right here, this is the output for the puzzle. And this can be anything. It doesn't have to be the same exact thing, but basically what I'm showing you here is a bunch of timers, but we don't want to worry about that. We just want, and there's the sound that the puzzle makes when you're finished, when you finish it. And then yeah, so we just want to focus on the result, which is the outlet of the AND gate. That's what we really want to focus on. Everything else doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how your code looks as long as it works. And basically we just want to focus on the result, getting that plugged into the timeline. And that is how we can make our puzzles or whatever we're using connect with our timeline that will feature a camera, a health manager, and keyframe. So basically I go through the guides right here that animate, and I make my own timeline right here, and this is where we get started. You want to pull up your timeline and it will come up blank. So we have a blank canvas right here. And as you can see, the elevator is back to its normal position because we got rid of the original keyframe. So that's what it looks like by default. So we want to go into our gadgets menu and then hit on camera. We want to snap a camera into our timeline, and then we want to set up the camera. So we'll press L1 plus X, and then we'll set it where we want it, wherever we want to set it. And we'll exit out of there, and then we'll go back to the timeline, go under animate, keyframe, get our keyframe, and now with the keyframe, just animate the object you're working with however you want, your elevator, your object, whatever it may be, whatever you want to be animated. And then once you're done, just hit on stop recording, and then it'll already be activated because the, or it may or may not. If it is, that just means the time lapse is triggered, but we'll fix that. So we have our camera, we have our keyframe, And now we need our health manager. So we'll go into gadgets, we'll go into movers and outputs, and we'll grab our health manager. Snap it in the timeline wherever you want it to be. And now we want it to be, you can make it to any options you want. I put it on continuous, and then I also put the modifier type to zone. So I make everything as specific as possible to where, to display where I want the health manager to affect, what zone it wants to affect. So I'm just going to expand the zone I've made right here. I'm just going to make sure it covers the whole room so that the player is affected no matter where they are. So I'm going to make it that big. And then I'm going to keep it as a square because a square, the room is square. If your room is a circular room, then I would recommend going circular. And then we close our timeline. We open it back up, and with the power, I just wanted to show you here. So as I click the power button on and off, when I put it on, obviously the elevator goes up because the keyframe is being activated. So that's how we know everything is working. And then we're just going to leave it on, go to our microchip here. We're going to take our result of our code, whatever we made, and we're going to take the result and we're going to plug it into the time lapse. So when that programs the game in which whenever we finish the puzzle or press a certain button, whatever we do, it triggers that timeline, which will then trigger the cutscene, which will then trigger the animation we're wanting, along with the health manager. And then we go into the keyframe here just to dial up the animation, just so it's not so abrupt, so that there is some sort of ease in effect, just so it looks realistic. So we're going to do a simple run here. We're going to trigger the puzzle we're making here. And then, as you can see, I die straight away. So, yeah, not because of the enemy, by the way. It's actually because of our health manager. And we forgot to change it. Oh, and the animation as well. So we want to make sure that keep changes is activated in the keyframe button so that it doesn't go back to its original pose. Otherwise, it will go back to its default pose, unless that's what you want it to do. But in this case, we want it to stay open, so we want it to have keep changes options to on. And with the health modifier, we actually forgot to tell it to give the player health, because while the cutscene is happening, we don't want the player to be destroyed by the monster, as you could see, the invisible monster. So we want the health manager, at least in this scenario, to give the player health so that they don't die while the cutscene is active. And then with the camera, since it was an ease in effect, we actually want it cut. And then I put on the black bars, but that's just personal preference. You can have it to wherever you want, but I just have that for me. So when we finish the puzzle here, it's going to look a lot more nicer, a lot more smoother, and our character won't be killed. See that ease in and ease out effect? That's so much nicer, especially with the cut in effect at the beginning. So that's all, and thank you for watching.